Crossfire. To define it simply, this is any state of combat in which a tank cannot present its mitigation capacity to all of the pertinent angles. At its core, a crossfire is a defensive strategy. It allows you to invite and then punish enemy aggression. For example, let's present two scenarios utilizing a familiar attack path on the map, Abbey. Here we have an E75 attacking a KV-13 and a janky IS-3 that I made. Obviously, this combat heavily favors the tier 9 heavy. We'll stick an SDRV back here to discourage a full commit. Now, in standard combat here, where the E75 is allowed to utilize its advantages, it sideswipes, it angles, it kills both the IS-3 and the KV-13, and then moves on. With this, same tanks, same combat, but we take our KV-13 out here. Now, this combat holds. The E75 cannot attack without presenting his weakest armor to one of the combatants. To implement this in your gameplay, you can simply make it an entirely visual exercise. How do you defend this attack? Like this. How do you defend this attack? Like this. One more, like this. It's important to realize that the strength of a crossfire is directly correlated to the severity of the angle presented, because the greater the angle between the components, the more time an enemy will need to switch between targets. It's why this is a better crossfire than this. So we use Crossfire as a preventative defensive strategy. When do we not use it? We don't use it when we're playing advantage. If we're actively pressuring a flank, sitting back and waiting is not appropriate. We also don't use it against controlled, committed enemy aggression, or overwhelming odds. Which leads me nicely onto the main weakness of the strategy. Being that a crossfire is almost solely a defensive toolkit, it's primarily utilized when facing an enemy with a more powerful force, be that numerical or tank-to-tank. And unlike the multi-level engagement, which is very strong against linear committed attacks, the crossfire is somewhat weak. To defeat a crossfire, you need to do it quickly, with aggression, because the longer you stay within the established kill zone between the positions, the weaker your ability to counterplay will become. These tanks, in this scenario, will out-damage these tanks. So as these tanks, having tangible advantage, we commit. We pick whatever component of the enemy crossfire is weakest, easiest to engage, and we destroy that angle. Here's a perfect example of that exact thing. These guys are pushing into a crossfire. What I need to do is I need to take this guy out of the fight. I can't let this guy be on the side here. So I'm just gonna try and make sure that I die. My objective here is to make sure that guy's not in the fight. If he can't get up that hill, this becomes far more likely for our team to win it. That is perfect tactical play. Keeping this guy out of the fight, can you imagine how much damage he'd be doing in this situation? You made it out of bed. Task one, crossed off step. To summarize, the crossfire is a way to grant a weaker force greater holding capacity and more damage potential. It is more flexible than a multi-level engagement, offering greater opportunities for attack progression, but it is weaker against a linear, committed enemy threat. If you think the enemy is a good bit stronger than you, you should utilize a crossfire. If that enemy is way stronger than you, a multi-level engagement would be more appropriate. And if you want to learn all about the multi-level engagement, there's a link up here and in the description. But personally, I recommend this video that I made talking about 7 ways that you can play to become unkillable. Do link this video to a friend that needs it. Okay. Watch it with a platoon mate before a play session. Try and implement and recognize Crossfire in your games and let me know how it goes. Hope you learned something. If you did, leave a like. Have a good day.
You better never ever shoot versus the man, cause that's a jerk off his hand, hence you're a permanent ban, yep. Like in a roleplay game, you wield a dagger but get smashed from half a globe away. But don't worry mate, he's sorry You could have known though, it's all the same story. You better not berate him, he is living in the country next to the US with oil fields.